This is TWiT.
So, we had a mass shooting Sunday before last at a church in Texas, and naturally, immediately afterwards, much as happened with San Bernardino, the FBI wants to understand everything they can about the background of this person who we pretty much know did the shooting as a consequence of the evidence trail, and what reporting, and this is from Reuters reporting, Apple claims that it immediately contacted the FBI to offer their assistance in unlocking this Texas shooter's iPhone. The FBI is arguing that this is yet another case of them not having critically required access to encrypted data. The problem in this case is that there was an immediate clock that was ticking. We know who this suspected shooter was, and if the shooter had been using their fingerprint to unlock their phone, and if even post-mortem this fingerprint had been applied to the phone, presumably a thumb, within 48 hours, after which we know that Touch ID stops working and you have to be using your passcode, then there was this window of opportunity. And so this has caused some controversy because the FBI did not take advantage, the reporting alleges, of Apple's immediate offer to provide any assistance that they could. We don't know what the FBI did with the phone, whether they in fact got access to it or didn't. Tim Cushing, writing for TechDirt, looking at all of the coverage, wrote that if everything alleged by the Reuters report is true, the FBI's struggles are of its own making. But then again, there's still a lot of information that is unknown.
Now, I actually thought this was weird. Apparently, Apple said, well, you should have called us because you could have just put the dead guy's finger on the phone and unlocked it. What? Right? Do you think Apple really said that to them? They said that, remember the San Bernardino thing, they said, you should have called us because we could have, there was a chance he would have synced with iCloud and we could have given it to you then.
Exactly, yes.
That I believe, but
yes.
Can you put the dead person's finger on the phone and unlock it? I thought it had. Yes. I thought, but doesn't it have some sort of infrared to detect heat? I thought it did. Maybe I'm.
There's not IR, because it's capacitive.
I thought that you had to use like a sausage. Oh, capacitive would still work with a dead finger, I guess.
Yes.
But you got to do it right away because 48 hours afterwards it doesn't do it.
The gummy bear fingers also work.
That works too. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it has to have, it has to have ridges in order to function capacitively. But anyway, so and of course then Dianne Feinstein immediately dusted off her legislation, which had died for lack of support near the end of the previous U.S. administration, when nobody was, jumping to move on this. So, we're still in the middle of this struggle, and so here's yet another event where the FBI is using this instance to complain about their inability in a very high profile event, their inability to get access to a criminal's encrypted data. Apple trying to diffuse this, saying, hey, we stepped up immediately, and they probably did, from a PR standpoint, just saying, look, we'll provide any help that you need of any kind, because as you said, Leo, arguably there were some mistakes made immediately in the San Bernardino case, which may have, if things had been handled differently, may have allowed the data to be recovered. And I'll just remind everyone that as we've said on this podcast, there is a solution that Apple doesn't want to be forced to provide, which isn't a back door or a front door or a golden key or a side door or an unlocked door. The idea being that, Apple is maintaining a connection to every one of their iDevices. I mean, that's part of what they're doing. These things are connected, and they're getting updates, and they're doing iClouds, and all of this is going on. Ultimately, in every single one of these devices is a master 256-bit symmetric key, which is the thing which unlocks the stored data. And we know that it is super well guarded by multiple layers of security, by hardware, by enclave processors, and all this. And that Apple doesn't have it currently. We believe them that the device, when it initializes for the first time, it uses available entropy to invent this key for its own use, and it never leaves the device. That one thing is all that would need to change. That is, when the device invents this key, comes up with its super secret, super guarded 256-bit symmetric key, that key could be encrypted with a very long, very safe master transport key that is that's in the device. This would be a public key using public key technology, which could be used to encrypt this 256-bit per device symmetric key for transport to Apple, so that Apple then has this unique per device key in their database. And if called upon on an individual per device basis, Apple could decrypt that using the highly guarded at Apple matching private key, which would allow per device access to the contents of the phone. They don't want to do it. I get that. I respect that. But, there are solutions, is my point, to providing under law single device access, which Apple could, at their discretion with this technology, choose to make available if legislation is enacted to cause that to happen, without anybody getting a master, any third party, any law enforcement getting any sort of carte blanche access to all of the iPhones in the world.
The problem with that, of course, is that they're afraid not so much about the U.S. government, but other governments asking for that kind of access.
Right.
Which they would have to.
If it exists, then
so acknowledging that exists would be a problem.
Yeah.